Hello everybody, this is Joe and I am bringing you the second part of the 1000 subscriber special, by which I mean the 1300 subscriber special, I guess. Yeah, since I hit 1,000 we're already a third of the way to 2,000, I guess, but I said when I did the commentary track for the very first episode that I was going to do another commentary track and then it would be based on what people wanted to hear, and I took a survey both on the Patreon page and in the comments of that video, and nobody voted for more than one. Sorry, there was not more than one vote for any one thing. So I sort of made an executive decision, and the reason that this is finally getting done now is because it's WrestleMania weekend. And so this is a commentary track on the Saturday night Slammasters episode. It's the 15th episode of Same Name, Different Game. And part of the reason I wanted to do that is because the WrestleMania specials are something I get really excited about doing. I really love doing them. And I think it's a pretty unique thing that you don't see a lot of other channels do. The only other, Pat the NES Punk did one time. And the LJN Defender, Matt Ezra, who guested on last year's WrestleMania special with me, has done a couple and is doing another one. It's going to be after WrestleMania, but I think he said that it was going to be his next video. As of when this is going up, his next video is going to be another LJN Defender episode about old WWF games. So part of that is that it's just a kind of unique thing that I do, and I guess insofar as I'm known for anything, I might be known for these, even though they don't have as many views, some of them as some other stuff, but I feel like it's a sort of a trademark of mine. And the other reason is that the Saturday Night Slammasters episode of Same Name, Different Game is unique in that it is the only episode of Same Name, Different Game that came out in 2013. And there are a number of reasons for that, but primarily I was working a ton and I was about to get married. And then after I got married, we went on our honeymoon, and after we got back from our honeymoon, my wife found out that she got into law school, and I ended up moving halfway across the country. And in the midst of all that, only 2 videos came out in 2013. I did this one, and I did a Halloween special, which was actually on Obscure Old Games on Master of Darkness. And so we only did one episode of each in that year. But the WrestleMania shows really, I think, are a lot of progress sort of indicators. Even though they're not, the second episode of Same Name, Different Game was the first WrestleMania show. And the Royal Rumble episode is sort of what I consider to be where the show really starts to come into its own. Not that I'm not proud of the episodes that I did before the Royal Rumble episode, but I think around the time of the Royal Rumble episode, the Double Dragon episode, is when the show starts to take on a little bit higher production quality, and then that sort of trend continues there. I did the Gradius episode when I came back in 2014, and that was the first thing, which was sort of a tribute to the fact that I had started with Salamander. But really, the episode that I did immediately after that, which was the pro wrestling episode, was, once again, I sort of felt like that was really the signature that I was moving forward, a sign that I was moving forward and going to continue the show, and so I think that was important. The first episode that I shot in HD, using my current HD camera, was last year's WrestleMania special, which was WWF Superstars with Matt Ezra, the LJN Defender. So the WrestleMania specials mean a lot to me, and this one is just sort of a weird thing. So I wanted to talk about it, do commentary. So let's go ahead and get started. We'll go ahead and start the video.
Capcom does a run-in on the wrestling genre. Same name, different.
And of course, it's a Capcom game,
Slammasters,
which I love. I love this game a lot. I have some problems with it. Titles were in pink for Joey Pink. I've never gone back and done that again, but it was a nice touch. This is, of course, once again, the old intro song. Some clips of my actual wrestling career. That was a show in Wisconsin. That was me versus Ryan Rogue. That was also Wisconsin. That was me versus Kingpin was the guy's name. It's his bowling gimmick. That's me versus the last real man, Silas Young, in Iowa. That was before he was the last real man or whatever that thing that Ring of Honor has him doing. That's me versus Dinty Moore, who is apparently, he's also done some Ring of Honor stuff. I think he's like the Milwaukee Mauler, something like that now. That was me and Silas Young again. So, some highlights of my wrestling career. That's me and Kingpin again. And there we go, Saturday Night Slammasters.
That's right, WrestleManiacs. It's the 3rd annual on the
Gotta do that wrestling style 3, of course. So Joey Pink was, as you saw in those clips, Joey Pink was a real thing that I really did. I was a trained professional wrestler. And that's part of what I like about doing these episodes. And really getting to sort of play a character. When I do it, it's just sort of me as the host. But when Joey Pink is, I get to sort of play a character. And here's me interacting with Joey Pink. And I said I've been working a lot, working on not making new episodes, which was true, like I said before I actually started the commentary track proper. So actually my wife, my then fiance, now wife, shot this part with me barging into the room.
Clever.
And you can hear my dog sort of make a whining noise while I'm talking in that clip if you look. And it's also very quiet. I decided not to put my lav mic on because I thought it would look weird with me talking to myself, but I should have because the audio takes a dip there, which I didn't love. So here's our obligate history lesson. I've actually never seen that cabinet that's on the flyer. I've never seen one of these. That's a really nice dual monitor 4-player cabinet though. Those were pricey with the Q sound speakers there up top, which is very nice. Yeah, and that's been the big thing about, I think, why we haven't seen another one of these or any re-releases of this game is because Tetsuo Hara has a partial copyright claim or trademark claim on this because he designed the characters, and I think it's that they don't want to pay him.
Let's be honest here. We're talking about
So yeah, the FM Towns Marty. The FM Towns Marty was like a consoleized computer in Japan that had a couple of arcade ports that were well known.
hard status in its native Japan. And it wouldn't even be considered the answer to a trivia question if it hadn't been for an arcade-perfect port of Splatterhouse back in the heyday.
Yeah. So
Jobber of a console.
that is the thing about the FM Towns Marty. The reason most people want it is because it's got a fantastic port of Splatterhouse. But at this point, it's kind of moot because the new Splatterhouse has all 3 games, including the arcade version of the original, included on it. So it's not really something that you should spend a lot of money on unless you're a big collector, of course. So yeah, this game, I really like this game because it's very unique. It's like a combination of Street Fighter and a wrestling game, which is really cool. Then the sequel, Ring of Destruction, was basically just Street Fighter, which is fine. It's a fine game. I enjoy it, but the sort of belt-scrolling aspect of being able to move up and down on the playfield is gone.
It did a lot to fix some of those problems.
But yeah, Muscle Bomber Duo is a really great game.
Made the grab button.
Muscle Bomber Duo is sort of like I say here, it's like the Street Fighter 2 Turbo to this game's Street Fighter 2. And adding the grapple button was a big step in making the game more playable, and it's unfortunate that version never got a port. It's never ported. But if you have an emulator, if you've got MAME on your computer, if of course you can go to an arcade and play it, I really recommend checking out Muscle Bomber Duo. It's a fantastic game. I really like it a lot. And again, it irons out any of the problems this one has. Yeah, so this is ridiculous. There's literally not a frame where I can get a move off in this. The computer-controlled gunlock literally just hits me with this gourd buster over and over and over again until I get pinned. And there is nothing I can do about it. Also, the way I encoded this video, there's a little frame jitter, which drives me nuts, and I would have to re-export it to fix it, but I've moved the files around so much that that would be a little bit of a problem. But maybe someday. I actually kind of want to re-edit some of these. So again, little background, I was working a ton. This was right after PAX East in 2013, so I had been working 80-hour weeks so that I could have money to go to PAX East and not take money away from the money we were spending on our wedding.
It's called a tornado.
And at the same time,
learn your pro wrestling terms.
You know, I was working, so I was working a lot to save money for the wedding. So then I worked extra to not take money out of the wedding savings to go to PAX East. So then I went to PAX, and some of the footage that you'll see in this video is actually captured at PAX East with the help of Mike and Eric and Kurt, who, if you watch the streams that are archived on this channel, you're familiar with them, or listen to the podcasts, you know, at onthestick.com. But the three of them helped capture the 4-player multiplayer footage for the Super NES version. So I came back from PAX, went right back to working a ton. I basically shot and cut together this in as much extra time as I could spare in 1 week. And I actually didn't end up exporting and posting this video until WrestleMania had started. So I always like to get them up like before WrestleMania, and I was not able to in this case. So this promo, this is just me. I just wanted to cut a promo, so I just cut a promo on a fictional character, which I guess Joey Pink is also a fictional character, so it makes sense. And someone commented on this video, on the original video, that they liked the promo and talking about, you know, I know I'm going to be in a hospital bed. I've already got a hospital bed checked out and all that stuff. And I actually cribbed that from Arn Anderson. There's a really fantastic Arn Anderson promo in, I think it's from 1996, shortly before he retired. But there was a match with the Horsemen and the NWO, and Arn Anderson just cut this fantastic promo about, you know, he knows that it's going to be brutal. He knows he's going to end up in a hospital bed, but that doesn't matter because he's going to hurt this other guy more. Arn Anderson is one of my all-time, you know, favorites, probably top, you know, 20 favorite pro wrestlers of all time. Arn Anderson is just fantastic. This is a thing that you don't necessarily notice if you're not paying attention, but yeah, each arena in Slammasters does have different ring skirts, different canvases, different all that stuff, and it's not as obvious as something like Street Fighter where it's totally different background, but it's a really nice touch. And even to the point of, you know, the Japanese arena has Japanese style turnbuckles, and the North American arenas have North American style turnbuckles, which the Japanese style is one solid turnbuckle, and, you know, this kind of thing. Yeah, Greater, obviously inspired by Vader. Finishing moves are really cool. A lot of them are really hard to pull off in this game, but they're really cool. There's the Head Crusher or something it's called.
So as to the differences between these two versions.
So,
but each version has an exclusive gameplay mode.
Yeah, that's really the crux of this episode, is that there's different modes that are exclusive to each version. So they're very similar. The Genesis version isn't quite as brightly colored, but generally speaking, they're very similar games. It's 4 Horsemen 4. God, every time you noticed, every time I hold up 4 fingers for any reason in one of these WrestleMania specials, which happens surprisingly frequently. If you hold, every time I hold up 4 fingers, I do it like the 4 Horsemen, the slight curvature and the thumb folded over into the palm of my hand. This is I didn't know this screen existed, and if I hadn't tried to use a third-party controller while we were in Boston recording this footage, I never would have known that screen existed. I've never seen a screen like that, or any other games that have screens like that. But that is a really cool screen. The deathmatch option, that's also sort of, I don't know how Capcom arrived at this decision, of course, but deathmatch is a very Genesis thing, right, for that time. Like, Sega was trying to be the more adult or more mature console to the Super Nintendo's sort of kid-friendly image, and so I have to assume that's why Capcom put the deathmatch option in here. My only gripe about it is that it's 2-player only. You have to play 2 players. You can't do a single player, and they don't like throw it in the story mode. Like, that would be super cool if you got to the end in the final match against Scorpion. You know, they added that as like, you have to fight Scorpion in the death match, but they don't do that. And yeah, I didn't really harp on it enough here, but yeah, the option to play as the bosses is available in the Genesis version, and not in the Super NES. You can, if you're playing multiplayer, if you're playing a 2-player one-on-one, or you're doing the 4-player or whatever, you can play as the bosses, but you can't use them in the single player. And in the Genesis version, you can.
Genesis out. It's got a few tricks up its sleeve. Let's take a closer look.
Yeah, a lot of the background music in this episode is the Super Nintendo music, which I think is a little better. Yeah, this is really weird. So if you just noticed the backflip, back handspring that that Stingray does when he lands that drop kick has more animation in the Genesis version, and a couple of the suplexes and stuff have it, and yeah, some speech samples. But yeah, like I was just saying, the Super Nintendo soundtrack is much, much better. And this audio is not super well balanced here, which is unfortunate. But this is just a really good game, and I think what really bothers me is that nobody makes wrestling games that have fictional casts anymore. It's only really, I mean, WWE is really the only game in town. It's been a while since there's been a non-WWE game released. Certainly in the United States, but I can't even really think of any notable Japanese ones that have, you know, come out in the current generation or even in the PS3 generation. I have some PS2 Japanese wrestling games, but nothing really since then. So you see the Japanese style turnbuckle there in these matches. I would love to see Capcom bring this franchise back, and like not as a mobile port or anything. And like also the quality of capture from the Genesis for this video is really bad. Audio is really quiet. Like it's coming out of one channel. I don't know what happened there. Again, it's one of those things I would like to recapture the game footage and go back and recut this episode, but you know, doing 2 videos a month at this point, it's just really hard to find the time to do that. So I just sort of live with the flaws for now. What a butterfly suplex there from the man, the myth, the legend, Stingray. Here's one of those speech samples I was talking about. Yeah, he woos, and that's not in the Super Nintendo version. And I don't think I mentioned it in this game, but the ref is actually present in the ring in the Super Nintendo version, and is not present in the ring in the Genesis version.
Than any other 2 games I've covered for this show.
That was true at this time. That might still be true, actually.
They could pull off some twin magic.
Gotta love a twin magic spot. I think that's still true, though. I think these are still the most similar games out of any other games that I've covered on this show. These games are really similar.
Simply because it contains the boss characters as playable characters in the single player mode, and it has the exclusive.
It's super cheap too. This game is really easy to come by, I believe, still. It's of Capcom's franchises, it's just not a very well-remembered or loved one, but
there can be no doubt. Either version is available for a song
yeah,
on eBay
for a song.
secondary market.
Yep, true story.
Let's take it home.
Take it home, if you didn't know, is wrestling jargon for ending the match. When you get to the end of the match, you say, like, we're going to go home, or we're going to take it home. Those are mostly things. We do a stream instead of a podcast now, but go to onthestick.com and check out our streams and our archive streams.
See you next time.
Pleasure was all yours. Which became a catchphrase. That was really an inadvertent thing. That was not really my catchphrase when I was wrestling. That didn't start until I just needed a way, like a button, to end the WrestleMania, the first WrestleMania special, the second episode, and I just said, that's a very Joey Pink thing to say, is pleasure is all yours. And then after that, I just sort of stuck with it, right? I'm Joey Pink, and the pleasure was all yours. Ending screens are also almost identical. These games are really, really similar, and I'm really trying to think now of any other games that are this similar. Captain America and the Avengers, I guess, gets close, but the Super Nintendo version plays so much worse than the Genesis version that's a hard sell. Now, and here's the stinger. So that was the second time I'd used that stinger, which is why it says for real this time, next episode of Metal Gear Solid. And then I wouldn't do another episode for almost a year. And I still haven't done the Metal Gear Solid episode. I actually had almost a full playthrough of Metal Gear Solid for the PlayStation recorded. And I just never... And I think that was part of... It was too ambitious, is the reason. I just couldn't get to the point where I was comfortable writing about it, and with how busy I was that year, like I said, moving and getting a new job, because what it was is I got married. Like I said, my wife got accepted to school. She moved because she had to start class. I moved back in with my parents because we were sharing an apartment, so she moved out to the East Coast. I moved back in with my parents. And then I looked for a job out here in D.C. while I, stayed with my parents, because I didn't want to sign another lease or anything, because I didn't know when I was going to be leaving. Finding a new job, getting a new job, moving from Wisconsin to D.C., getting everything unpacked. And then when I was with my parents, all my games were in storage. They were boxed up and put away until I moved. So it was just way too much, and that's why eventually I just decided, at the beginning of 2014, I just said, well, it's time to go ahead and bring the series back, because I really like doing it, and I really want to do it, and I just opted for Gradius at that point, because trying to do Metal Gear Solid. So that's still sort of hanging out there. It's one that I really do want to do. The Game Boy Color Metal Gear Solid is sort of this weird... like unknown, under-recognized thing, and in Japan it's not even called Metal Gear Solid, it's called Metal Gear Ghost Babel. But it's something I really want to do, and I just haven't had a chance yet, so that was me talking way too long about that stinger. But hey, thanks for watching, really appreciate it. Let me know if you want me to do more commentary tracks. I'll be looking at 1,500 subscribers soon, hopefully. And 2,000 after that, hopefully. So there might be reasons for me to do more commentary tracks, or maybe I'll just do one for fun. If there's a particular episode you want to see, let me know down in the comments, and I will definitely take it into consideration. Thanks for watching. Enjoy WrestleMania 32 this weekend, and keep your eyes out. We've got a new, there'll be a new 5 Reasons later in April, and then, of course, a new same name, different game. Thanks for watching. Bye.